Hey guys, it's hard to believe it's been more than 2.5 years since Sony released the FX6, and more than 1.5 years since they gave us firmware 2.0, which basically revolutionized the camera. In fact, the FX6 can do some things that still can't be matched by any other camera in the world. It is definitely in a class by itself. But the point of this video is not to compare the FX6 to other cameras or talk about its features and functions. If you want to learn more about the FX6 and how to use it, I've already got an 8-hour masterclass on Vimeo, plus quite a few follow-up videos on YouTube that will explain everything you need to know about the FX6. The purpose of this video is to share a couple of custom LUTs that I've created to help me get better looking images from my FX6 when I do not want to shoot with S-Log3, such as when I'm shooting for a client who doesn't want to deal with an S-Log workflow in post, or for a fast turnaround production where there simply won't be any time for serious grading and resolve. But my custom LUTs aren't just for the FX6. They're fully compatible with S-CINETONE footage that has been shot with any Sony camera that has an S-CINETONE shooting mode. And that includes the FX9, FX3, FX30, and even some of the alpha mirrorless cameras. I call my new LUTs S-CINETONE boosters because their only purpose is to make it faster and easier for anyone, regardless of how inexperienced they are at color grading, to quickly improve their S-CINETONE footage. In most cases, all you have to do is drop the LUT on a clip and you'll be instantly rewarded with a superior looking image. Both of my booster LUTs are fully compatible with Resolve, Premiere, Final Cut Pro, and any other NLE that allows you to import custom LUTs. Now, if you're not exactly sure what a LUT is, don't worry about it. A LUT is basically just a grading preset that can be applied to footage in post to help you get closer to a final image. That's all a LUT is. And although LUTs are usually associated with log or raw file formats, I've specifically designed these two LUTs to work with footage that have been shot with S-CINETONE. But before we take a closer look at how to use my S-CINETONE boosters, let's step back a little bit and talk about why they're even needed in the first place. Now, if you've ever watched any of my FX6 Masterclass videos, then you already know I think there are basically only two viable ways of shooting with the FX6. One, you can choose the Cine EI mode, shoot with S-Log3, and then grade and resolve. Or two, you can choose the custom mode, shoot with S-CINETONE, and then you're still going to have to grade in your NLE because, in my experience, S-CINETONE almost never provides a nice, finished, straight out of the camera look, even though Sony says S-CINETONE has been designed to quickly and easily create rich-looking final content without the need for extensive post-production or indeed any at all. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by extensive color grading, but I can tell you that my S-CINETONE footage always requires some color grading because it doesn't look good enough straight out of the camera to suit my needs or the needs of my clients. And unlike previous Sony cameras, where I always have the option of diving into the paint menus and creating whatever custom look I want, the FX6 doesn't really have any paint menus to speak of. So we're forced to either accept S-CINETONE just as Sony designed it or shoot with S-Log3. And no matter which of those two modes I choose, I know my footage is going to have to be graded in post. Now, while I'll concede that S-CINETONE might look good enough for cinema, drama, and certain types of indoor interviews and headshots, what about all the other stuff we have to shoot? Like news, sports, documentaries, outdoor B-roll, stock footage, reality show, and other things that don't take place under nicely controlled indoor lighting conditions. S-CINETONE wasn't designed for that kind of shooting, so in most cases, it isn't going to look very good. And that's why I contend that the FX6 doesn't have a what you see is what you get shooting mode, known as WYSIWYG, that won't require at least some grading in post. Now, you're welcome to disagree with me if you want to, but I can honestly say that I've never encountered any S-CINETONE footage that couldn't be significantly improved upon in post. In fact, to illustrate that point, about a year ago I posted this split-screen video on YouTube that clearly demonstrates S-CINETONE needs some help in post to look good. On the left side, you see S-CINETONE as it was recorded on board the camera. And on the right, you see how I've graded each clip by hand in Resolve, one clip at a time, to improve the color, contrast, and vibrancy of the footage. But that kind of clip-by-clip grading is labor-intensive and not a good use of my time, or my client's time. So what I've wanted to do for a long time, but just lately had time to work on, was to create some kind of preset or LUT that could be quickly applied to S-CINETONE footage in any NLE without getting into serious clip-by-clip color grading. And I think I've accomplished that goal with my two S-CINETONE booster LUTs. One is for a low contrast look, and the other provides higher contrast with deeper blacks. The choice of which one to use on any given clip is just a matter of personal preference. And best of all, using my LUTs is super easy. You just need to select the camera's custom shooting mode, choose the camera's built-in S-CINETONE scene file, and then expose exactly how I demonstrate in my FX6 MasterClass. When you're ready for editing, you'll need to click on the link in the comments section below to download the free zip file that contains the 2 LUTs. And then install those LUTs wherever your NLE is programmed to look for LUTs. For Premiere on a Mac, this is the location where LUTs are stored. And for Resolve on a Mac, this is the location. If you need more help than that to install the LUTs, please do a Google search for assistance because that step goes beyond the scope of this video. After the LUTs have been installed, applying either one of them to a clip is as easy as selecting the clip on the timeline, going to the Lumetri control panel, and choosing one of the 2 LUTs from the drop-down list. If you like the look, you can then copy the attributes of that clip and apply it to all the other S-CINETONE clips on your timeline in one easy step. Now you still might decide to do some further fine-tuning of the exposure or white balance or sharpness, but hopefully my booster LUTs have already gotten you 99% of the way to a nice final image. And the bottom line for me is that when I want to have maximum control over my footage in post, I still might use S-Log3. But for everything else, I'm starting to use S-CINETONE more and more. Not only is my post workflow simplified because I don't have to use Resolve for grading anymore, but I also have the added advantages of better peaking performance in my viewfinder, a more finished image for clients and crew to look at during the shoot. It's easier to judge exposure and white balance, and I can make small half-stop ISO adjustments right on board the camera whenever I get into low light situations, something that is impossible to do when shooting with S-Log. I hope you find the new LUTs as helpful as I do. Please leave your comments below and let me know what you think. And finally, I'll wrap up this video by showing a few minutes of split-screen outdoor B-roll that I shot with S-CINETONE last weekend. Feel free to stop watching whenever you've seen enough.